अब आज के दिन में हमें ये पता है कि आ, हमने डिजिटाइजेशन तो काफ़ी सारा कर लिया है, इसमें कोई शक नहीं है, बट उसको अलाइन कैसे करें ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ, ताकि हमारे बिजनेस स्ट्रेटजी के साथ वो चल पाए। यानी कि वी नीड टू मेजर एंड वी ऑल्सो नीड टू अलाइन इट टू द बिजनेस स्ट्रेटजी एंड दैट बिकम्स अ स्ट्रेटेजिक एचआर इनिशिएटिव। तो अगर आपके ऑर्गेनाइजेशन पे भी ये क्रिटिकलिटी है तो ज़रूर इसको देखिए, आपको शायद काफ़ी सारे चीज़ें ईजिली समझ में आ जाएगा। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं एंड डोंट फॉरगेट टू सपोर्ट अस बाय सब्सक्राइबिंग। First things first, we have to understand that exactly what do we mean by digitization. कई बार उसका मतलब ये होता है कि to bring about a digital culture, right? Where you will see, so once we are talking of culture plus, which means the increase of digital culture. The second part is not to focus too much on culture, but to focus on basically the basics of it, which is that how do we convert more roles in through the use of technology. And hence आप देखोगे कि वो दो जो पैरामीटर्स हैं, which is innovation on one end and technology on the other end, end up playing the real game. तो इसमें क्या है कि अगर आपने बहुत ज़्यादा इनोवेशन नहीं किया या बहुत ज़्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं किया, सबसे पहले आप क्या करते हैं, आप ऑफ कोर्स एक पॉलिसी डॉक्यूमेंट निकालते हैं, which is आप पॉलिसी इनोवेशन करते हैं, या आप कहते हैं कि अब से हम कम पॉलिसी लेवल पे तो हम ये डिक्लेयर करेंगे कि हम एक डिजिटल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बन गए, भले आपको मेरे बैंक में आके पैसा जमा करना पड़ेगा। तो लो लेवल डिजिटाइजेशन से एडवांस लेवल डिजिटाइजेशन, विच इज से स्ट्रेटेजिक इनोवेशन करना, एक जर्नी होती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए, और वहाँ पे स्पेशली विद रिगार्ड्स टू एचआर इट कैन प्ले अ वेरी क्रिटिकल एंड अ वेरी हेल्पफुल रोल फॉर बिजनेस टू प्रोग्रेस फास्टर, और उसी के बारे में हम बात करेंगे आज। तो जैसा मैंने कहा कि अगर आपने खाली इनोवेशन पे फोकस किया तो आप बहुत सारे क्रिएटिव सॉल्यूशंस पाएंगे विद रिगार्ड्स टू पीपल इनोवेशन, कि अच्छा चलो इनको फ़ोन दे देते हैं, अब ये इससे पहले जो है चल के जाते थे तो इनको एक फ़ोन दे देते हैं, इनके फ़ोन में कुछ एप्स डाल देते हैं, राइट? सो दोज आर द वेरी पीपल लेड इनोवेशन which are being called as digitization. On the other hand, अगर आपने प्योर टेक्नोलॉजी कंपनी है और टेक्नोलॉजी पे आपकी फोकस है, तो what you do is you have a lot of technological tools and say that हमने Python यूज करना शुरू कर दिया, हमने डेटा साइंटिस्ट हायर करना शुरू कर दिया. So basically what you're doing is process digitization, and hence you're more focused on process innovation. So the idea is to move beyond that you have a culmination जहाँ पे आपकी both the culture of the organization appears as a digitized workplace, and the roles also start becoming more and more digitized. I hope you are with me on this. Great. So now we have at least understood that these two factors end up playing a critical role, and we have to move towards strategic innovation to basically claim to be a truly digitized organization. How can we do that? Now, one of the good parameters to measure is to see how many of the roles are being digitized, which means that are you kind of moving roles away and making them automated, or are you handing over certain roles to automation and technology, which means certain human roles are now being converted into technological processes, or are certain roles which were heavily dependent on the human skills are now being completely pushed away into the technology aspect. That being the case, one of the best things is to push your cost strategy over there, which means that if you have roles which have a higher focus on technology, or roles which are getting automated, though there could still be a high impact of the requirement for an individual, you could adopt a low cost strategy here. Organizations like 3M do that, which is at the factory level they have huge amount of low cost workers, whereas at the research and development end they have very high capability workers who are very focused on innovation. The same happens even with Apple. If we look at the four key areas where an organization does a lot of digitization, it is in the service of the product that it offers, it is in the information that it records or collects, it is in the process, of course, as I already mentioned, and it could also be in the way it distributes and disseminates information or distributes its products. Like किसी को पसंद है कि मैं खाली Amazon पे बेचूंगा, राइट, और कोई सोचता है कि नहीं मैं एक हाइब्रिड मॉडल रखूंगा जहाँ पे ओवर द काउंटर भी मेरे सामान बिकेंगे और Amazon पे भी बिकेंगे, राइट. सो यू हैव बोथ द ऑनलाइन एंड द ऑफलाइन मॉडल. बट मुझे लगता है कि डिजिटाइजेशन का सबसे अच्छा मात्रा जो है या मेजर आपको तब कब पता चलता है, तब पता चलता है कि आपकी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन और मार्केट के बीच में कितनी दूरी है, और वो डिटरमाइन करता है कि एग्जैक्टली हाउ मच ऑफ डिजिटाइजेशन डू यू रिक्वायर, which means the distance between the organization and the market is determinant of the level of digitization. The distance between the organization and the market determines the level of digitization that an organization requires. Look at Google, Apple, Facebook, some of the greatest tech companies who are very far away from their markets, right? In fact, they don't even have a call center. They completely digitized their process, and hence they have eliminated the need for humans as much as possible, and the need to have a human interaction. ये होती है strategic levels of digital innovation. Whereas you will also find certain areas जहाँ पे कि human interaction की ज़रूरत है. जैसे Microsoft के Maxim products में कोई human interaction नहीं है, but अगर आप if you go into Azure or in Amazon, if you someone who sells on Amazon and purely is dependent on an organization like Amazon to sell its products, it would have a much higher dependency on digitization because it hardly meets the customers. So what these organizations have done is they have taken digitization to a strategic innovation level, which means they have been very careful to understand where do we require digitization. ये नहीं कि उठा के सबको digitize कर दिया, right? अब ये समझ में हमको जब आ जाए तो we will be able to do a better job. Now why am I saying that? Typically what happens is organization per se today are dead. People don't care about organizations any longer, other than of course for talent acquisition. आपकी organization कैसी है, उसका नाम क्या है, उसकी कितनी बड़ी शोहरत है, it's very important when it comes to talent acquisition to get some good talent. But when it comes to business, it actually holds no meaning. What holds meaning is the product. Google is not known for Google the company, but it is known for its search engine, it is known for Gmail. Similarly, Apple is known for the product it makes. So hence, the closer you are to the market, the lesser of digitization you would require there as far as the sales process is concerned. However, you would need a bit of strategic HR there, which means you have to bring in sharper and smarter people to sell your products. Consider financial services, where a person has to physically go and convince the person to buy the insurance plan or to take the right loan, or convince them of, say for example, a mergers and acquisitions process. Compare that to vis-a-vis, say for example, a simple R&D or a recurring deposit sales program, which can be sold absolutely digitally, which means there the focus should be on making the process smoother for coming closer to the market. Now, when I say organization versus service, what do I mean? Look, whatever feedback we get from the customer, we get it from the product or service that we offer, right? So, which means the market offers us feedback, and that feedback should be stored as data. That data should help us in the process, and that process should improve how we distribute and how we reach out to our core markets, right? Now, always remember that the organization per se does not always need to be in the face. Yes, the organization as a brand is important as far as talent acquisition is concerned. Where you are very close to the market, where you are trying to use a strategy of being closer to the market, or the demand is to be close to the market, your focus on spending more on getting better talent, better quality talent becomes important. However, if there's a wide gap between the product and the market, you will have you will need better digital tools. Why? Because the whole crux of a business strategy is to understand what the customer is wanting, is to be close to the needs of the customer. Right? We all are finally at the end of the day very selfish about ourselves, and we are very self-loving creatures. So, which means if I do not get to understand what the customer or the client is wanting, or what are the gaps in the services or the offerings, I may not be able to gauge and bring about a good transition. The distance between the service or the product and the market it deliver determines. In fact, कुछ जगह पे तो आपको organization पसंद भी नहीं होगा. Like think of police as an organization. You would not like it. The police coming every day and knocking at your door and trying to find out, hey, how are you? Right? However, if the police can make smarter apps so that you can quickly reach out, you can quickly place a complaint, you can get quicker solutions to get your passport delivered, I think that's where it will be more efficient, which means that you should use digitization to come closer to the market that you operate in, and which is what social media is all about. That it narrows the gap. The aim of digitization is to narrow the gap primarily between the market and the product or service that you deliver. और उसको आप जैसे narrow करते जाएंगे, उतना ज़्यादा क्या होगा? उतना ज़्यादा you'll be able to better capture data, because the whole idea is to capture data. Think of the local किराने की दुकान. It knows exactly कि शर्मा जी आते हैं तो उनको जो है थोड़ा सा सौंफ ऐसे हाथ में पकड़ा देना चाहिए. शर्मा जी खुश हो जाते हैं, और फिर शर्मा जी को जब बोला जाता है ये देखिए ये नया टूथपेस्ट आया है, शर्मा जी कहते हैं दे दीजिए. Which means that you have to come closer, reduce the gap, and there you have to use a digitization. And finally, that's what all technology is trying to do. Technology is trying to recommend. It's trying to use all algorithms and AI and machine learning to basically tell you, hey, this is the next video you'd like to watch. Hey, this is the next product you'd like to buy. Right? So, if we don't understand this crux, this pure purpose, then what happens? HR per se fails. Now, where does HR role come here? Which means that if you're an organization which has to go to the last mile and has to have a human interaction at the last mile, then it needs to focus on better hiring and talent acquisition strategies for last mile acquisition of customer or selling of services. But for the previous things, it should be able to create more digitized rules for that, right? Or whenever it is capturing the organization, it should be able to gather that data. Think of this very simple premise that whenever you're going to, say for example, a pharma shop, what happens if you could actually have a measurement of how many people are buying in medicines in bulk versus how many people are buying singular one or two medicines? It could be a great indicator of the human behavior, and of course, as a company, you would want to convert them to bulk buying. How can you do that? One great way for shops, as I think, is to put in small screens which could be linked to the main billing system to tell them exactly how many products are left. And when people see that less are left, they tend to buy more. ये human nature है हमारा. तो इस तरह से आप जितना क्लोज आ पाओगे और जितना आप टेक्नोलॉजी को यूज कर पाओगे टू बेसिकली ड्राइव द बिजनेस स्ट्रेटजी, उतना आपका स्ट्रेटेजिक इनिशिएटिव बेहतर होगा, राइट? सो विच मीन्स यू विल हैव टू डू सम मेजरमेंट्स। इसको कैसे करेंगे, चलिए देखते हैं। नाउ वी अंडरस्टैंड दैट एक टास्क से परफॉर्मेंस के बीच में होती है इवेंट टाइमलाइन, यानी कि एक टास्क दिया जाता है किसी इंसान को और वो उस टास्क पे काम करती है और एंड में मिलता है आपको एक परफॉर्मेंस। इस परफॉर्मेंस के दौरान आपको पीक्स एंड ट्राउस जिसे कहते हैं, यानी कि ऊपर नीच होता रहता है। आपको ये समझना है और आपको डिजिटाइजेशन यूज करना है इसको समझने के लिए कि पीक्स का वजह क्या था और ट्राउस के वजह क्या थे, क्योंकि इसको जब आप समझ पाओगे तो आपको ये पता चल जाएगा कि क्या वहाँ पे हमारी कोई इंटरवेंशन की जरूरत है। वहाँ that intervention could be not only in the form of learning and development, it could also be in the form of rewards and motivation. Am I right? कि at the workplace हम कैसे ये पता लगाएंगे कि हमने तो टूल्स वगैरह खरीद लिया, हमने तो डिजिटल कंपनी बन गए हम, तो क्या हम सही में डिजिटल कंपनी बने हैं? Have we really become a truly digitized company first, as the basic thumbnail? The good way to look at is the 3 C's. The first is connecting. That whenever we are connecting, are we using the old social method to connect, or are we using digital methods to connect? Right. So whether it's connecting with clients, whether it's connecting with our team members, whether it's connecting with the superiors, or whether it's connecting with other teams, क्या हम डिजिटल टूल्स का उपयोग कर रहे हैं और कितना कर रहे हैं, ये आपकी पहली मेजरमेंट होनी चाहिए। सेकंड होना चाहिए कि कंस्ट्रक्टिव, यानी कि जब हम कुछ चीज़ें तैयार कर रहे हैं, भले हम एक रिपोर्ट बना रहे हो या वी आर ट्राइंग टू प्रिपेयर अ प्रोडक्ट और वी आर ट्राइंग टू कंस्ट्रक्ट अ होल आइडिया और अ थॉट प्रोसेस, हाउ मच आर वी डिपेंडेंट ऑन द डिजिटल टूल्स एंड हाउ मच is digitization a part of that construction process? How much importance are we giving to the thought that this should be represented and produced and offered in a digital format? या क्या हम वही वापस पेन एंड पेपर में काम कर रहे हैं? And third is collaborating. That whenever we are collaborating together, when we are working as a team, is it possible that we can put technology between us? इसका ज़रूरत क्या है? हमने ऑलरेडी देख लिया है कोविड जैसे टाइम्स में, जहाँ पे ये वर्क फ्रॉम होम का ज़रूरत था कि यू यूज टेक्नोलॉजी टू बेसिकली कवर दैट डिस्टेंस बिटवीन टीम्स, राइट? तो यानी कोलैबोरेशन की जब बात हो, जब दो टीम्स को एक साथ काम करना हो, क्या वो अगेन आर दे वेरी सोशली बाइस्ड और आर दे डिजिटली बाइस्ड? ये 3 चीज़ों को अगर आप नापना शुरू करेंगे, आपको ये पता चल जाएगा कि आपकी डिजिटाइजेशन का कंप्लीटनेस का मेट्रिक कितना है। उसके बाद तो फिर स्ट्रैटेजिक इनोवेशन के लिए हमारे जैसे लोग हैं, एंड इनफैक्ट आई एम ओपन टू बीइंग हायर्ड बाय ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस व्हिच वांट्स टू look at transforming not only their basic processes but also their long-term organizational design and culture with respect to digitization and reorienting of the organization. I hope आपको अच्छा लगा होगा आज का सेशन। इससे ज़्यादा जानना चाहते हैं तो ज़रूर बताइए कौन से चीज़ें आपको जानने का शौक है, कौन सी चीज़ें आप जानना पसंद करेंगे, एंड don't forget to, of course, like and subscribe and keep supporting us in this initiative. We look forward to your views. हमें बताइए आपको आगे और किन चीज़ों के बारे में सुनना पसंद है, किन चीज़ों के बारे में आप जानना चाहते हैं, और हम कैसे आपका मदद कर सकते हैं। With this, नमस्कार, thank you very much. Have a nice day.